Picture the most isolated inhabited island on Earth, a tiny speck of land in the middle of the Pacific, more than 2,000 miles from the nearest continent. This is Rapa Nui, better known as Easter Island. It's home to a mystery that has fascinated the world for centuries. Over 1,000 giant stone statues, some as heavy as a space shuttle. They were created by a society that had no written language, no wheels, and no metal tools. For generations, we've all asked the same questions. How did they pull off this seemingly impossible feat? What kind of power did these stone giants hold? And why, after hundreds of years, did they suddenly just stop? The long-held secrets of the Moai are finally coming to light, and the truth is even more incredible than you might have imagined. The story of every Moai begins in one incredible place, the quarry of Rano Raraku. This extinct volcanic crater is the birthplace of almost every statue on the island. In fact, nearly half of all known Moai are still here, frozen in different stages of creation. Some are still attached to the very bedrock they were carved from, silent giants waiting for a release that never came. Looking at them, you can almost feel the ghosts of the past at work. The Rapa Nui people were true master craftsmen. Their tools? Handheld stones called toki, used to painstakingly chip away at the volcanic tuff, a type of compressed volcanic ash that forms the crater. Think about that for a second. Using only stone to carve stone, they sculpted figures that average 13 feet in height and weigh over 12 tons. The tallest Moai ever erected, a giant named Paro, stood an awe-inspiring 33 feet and weighed a staggering 82 tons. It was a monumental effort. A single statue could take a team of carvers a whole year to finish. They'd first outline the figure on the rock, then carve it out, leaving just a thin keel of rock connecting it to the ground. Then came the nerve-wracking part, severing that connection and sliding the behemoth down the quarry slope. There, it would be stood upright in a pit so carvers could finish the details on its back. This is why so many Moai are famously buried up to their necks, not because they were meant to be heads, but because centuries of soil have simply washed down and covered the bodies they've always had. But carving them was only half the battle. The even bigger mystery has always been, how on earth did they move these giants across the island's rugged, hilly landscape? For a long time, the most popular theory involved a whole lot of wood. The idea was that the Rapa Nui people cut down their forests to create wooden rollers or sledges to drag the Moai. This theory became the backbone of a popular story about a society that destroyed its own environment in a competitive statue-building frenzy, a cautionary tale of ecocide. But this story had some major problems. It would have taken a huge labor force, with some estimates suggesting up to 1,500 people to move the biggest statues. Plus, the island's terrain is so rough and uneven that rolling these top-heavy giants on logs would have been next to impossible. The real answer, it turns out, is far more elegant, and it comes from the Rapa Nui people themselves, whose oral traditions have always insisted that the statues walked. For years, this was written off as folklore. Now, incredible archaeological work has shown these stories were likely the literal truth. Researchers like Carl Lipo and Terry Hunt have shown that the Moai were brilliantly engineered for upright transport. The statues found abandoned along the island's ancient roads have a D-shaped base and a forward-leaning design, which makes them want to fall on their face. This wasn't a flaw, it was the secret to their movement. By attaching 3 heavy ropes, a team could rock a statue from side to side. With each rock, the angled base allowed it to shuffle forward, taking a step. With a coordinated rhythm, the Moai would waddle across the landscape, looking like it was walking. In 2012, an experiment proved it. Just 18 people successfully walked a 4.35-ton replica for hundreds of yards. It was a masterpiece of physics and teamwork, no log rollers required. Once a statue reached its platform, its base was then carved flat so it could stand securely. So the Rapa Nui could carve and move these giants. But why? Why pour so much time and energy into this? The answer is at the heart of their spiritual beliefs. The Moai aren't just statues. They are the Aringa Ora, the living faces of deified ancestors. They were built to honor ancestral chiefs, embodying their sacred spirit, or mana. This mana was a protective power that linked the living community to the divine world of their ancestors. The bigger the statue a clan could commission, the more mana and prestige its chief was believed to command. This sparked a culture of competitive cooperation, with clans trying to outdo one another with ever more impressive monuments. The statues were almost always placed on stone platforms called Ahaq, with their backs to the sea, watching over their descendants in the villages. They were the spiritual guardians of the island. To complete the transformation from stone to a living ancestor, two key things were added. First, many Moai were crowned with a pukao, a massive topknot made from a different red volcanic rock. These hats, which could weigh over 10 tons, likely represented the traditional topknot hairstyle of powerful chiefs, a symbol of their mana, which tradition says was held in the hair. But the most vital step was giving the statue eyes. The Moai weren't originally blind. Their eye sockets were designed to be inlaid with brilliant white coral and pupils of red scoria or black obsidian. According to Rapa Nui belief, placing the eyes was what activated the statue's mana, allowing the spirit of the ancestor to watch over the community. To look a Moai in the eye would have been to look into the face of a god. The ingenuity of the Rapa Nui people is just astounding. They developed brilliant solutions to incredible challenges, all in the name of their spiritual beliefs. If you're finding this journey into the past as fascinating as we are, take a moment to subscribe and join us as we uncover more of history's greatest secrets. The statue building era flourished for centuries after it began around 1250 CE. But by the 16th century, it all stopped. The quarry at Rapa Nui was abandoned, tools were left where they lay, and hundreds of statues were left unfinished. For decades, the dominant theory was one of self-destruction, that the Rapa Nui people recklessly cut down all their trees to move statues, which led to starvation and the collapse of their society. But a more complex and accurate picture has since emerged. The end of the Moai era wasn't a single event, but a perfect storm of factors. Environmental strain was definitely part of it. Deforestation did happen, which made life harder and forced the islanders to shift their labor to new farming techniques. There's also evidence of conflict between clans, which led to rivals toppling each other's statues to diminish their mana. But the most devastating blow came from the outside. The arrival of Europeans in the 18th and 19th centuries brought disaster. Peruvian slave raids in the 1860s kidnapped a huge portion of the island's male population, including leaders who held generations of knowledge. The few who returned brought diseases like smallpox that tore through the remaining population. Faced with this trauma, the old religious order that fueled the Moai tradition finally broke down, and a new spiritual focus, the Birdman cult, took its place. The story of Rapa Nui isn't just a simple cautionary tale about ecocide. It's a much richer saga of human ingenuity, deep spiritual devotion, and incredible resilience. The Rapa Nui people didn't vanish. Their descendants are still here today, making up about 60% of the island's population. They are the living guardians of their culture, working to preserve the Moai for future generations. But today, the statues face a new threat. Climate change and rising sea levels are eroding the coastal platforms, threatening to topple the giants once again. The Moai stand as a powerful testament to what a small, isolated community can achieve. They aren't relics of a failed society, but enduring monuments to a culture that thrived against all odds. And even now, the island is still revealing its secrets. In 2023, a brand new Moai was discovered in the dried-up bed of a crater lake, a find only made possible because of climate change. It's a stunning reminder that this incredible island has not yet given up all its secrets. The story of the Rapa Nui is one of humanity's most compelling. What other historical mysteries do you want to see us investigate? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more journeys into our incredible past. Thanks for watching.